The world was stunned. Nicolás Maduro, once Venezuela's powerful president, now shuffled in chains through a U.S. courthouse. Gone was the presidential sash. He wore an orange jumpsuit, wrists cuffed, flanked by armed U.S. Marshals. His wife, Celia Flores, once a political force herself, walked beside him, her face etched with disbelief. This wasn't a rally or a speech, it was a perp walk, broadcast live across the globe. The clink of their chains echoed, a stark symbol of power lost. Years of international pressure had led to this moment. For some, it was overdue justice. For others, a bold act of American intervention. Maduro looked smaller, stripped of his aura, yet a flicker of defiance remained in his eyes. He was now defendant number 20 CR-220 in the Southern District of New York. This was more than one man's arrest. It was the public collapse of a regime. Flores, once president of the National Assembly, was now just another inmate. The couple who ruled millions now stood powerless before their adversaries. The images sent a clear message: no one is above the law. The spectacle blurred the lines between politics and justice. The world watched as a former head of state was processed like any other criminal. The power, the speeches, the grandeur, all gone. The debates about sovereignty and overreach faded in the face of this reality. The story was just beginning, with its first chapter a portrait of power utterly lost. The fall was total, the consequences historic. The world waited to see what would come next. Before dawn, a high-security operation, Condor's Shadow, moved Maduro and Flores from detention to the Manhattan courthouse. Armored trucks rolled out as decoys, while the real transfer happened in a black SUV, part of a fleet of identical vehicles. The convoy sped through empty streets to a hidden helipad, where a Black Hawk helicopter waited. U.S. Marshals formed a tight perimeter as the couple was hustled aboard. The helicopter skimmed low over the water, avoiding city streets and minimizing risk. Landing at the downtown Manhattan heliport, another armored convoy awaited. The final drive through locked-down streets was short but intense. Police snipers watched from rooftops. Every intersection was blocked. The scale of security was unprecedented, a show of force to deter any threat. For Maduro and Flores, the journey was disorienting. They were cargo in a vast security machine. The world outside was a blur of flashing lights and armed guards. Their fate was now out of their hands. The transfer ended in the courthouse's underground entrance, unseen by the public. Every step was calculated, every risk anticipated. The message: no chances would be taken with these prisoners. Their new reality was setting in with every mile. The spectacle was as much about deterrence as it was about justice. The courthouse district became a fortress. Steel barricades, police tape, and hundreds of officers, federal agents and bomb-sniffing dogs patrolled. Sharpshooters watched from rooftops. Two protest groups faced off: Venezuelan expatriates demanding justice, and counter-protesters decrying U.S. intervention. Flags waved, chants clashed. Justicia versus U.S. hands-off Venezuela. The courthouse was now a stage for global conflict, not just a legal proceeding. Security was tight, with credible threats from loyalists and rival cartels. Every entrant faced multiple screenings. Tension was palpable. The city, used to big events, was on high alert. The trial was more than a legal battle. It was a test of international resolve. The heavy police presence was a warning. Any disruption would be met with force. Inside, the machinery of justice began to turn. Outside, the world's eyes were fixed on New York. The stakes were global, the atmosphere electric. This was not just another trial, it was history in the making. New York held its breath. The indictment against Maduro was sweeping: narco-terrorism, conspiracy, and state-sponsored crime. Prosecutors alleged he led the Cartel of the Suns, weaponizing cocaine with FARC to harm the U.S. Venezuelan military planes and ships, bribes, and secret meetings, all detailed in the charges. The case named top officials, painting Venezuela's leadership as a criminal syndicate. The U.S. aimed to strip Maduro of any claim to legitimacy, casting him as a kingpin, not a president. The charges carried a potential life sentence, and a $15 million bounty had hung over his head. The indictment was designed to challenge sovereign immunity and expose a failed state's criminal underbelly. For Maduro, it was a direct attack on his revolutionary image. The U.S. called it narco-terrorism on a global scale. The legal battle would be fierce, the implications enormous. The world would watch as the line between politics and crime was put on trial. The stakes: justice, sovereignty, and the future of Venezuela. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, officials, all eyes on Maduro and Flores. In court attire but still cuffed, Maduro stood tall, declaring himself Venezuela's legitimate president. He called the trial a farce, a kidnapping, and railed against imperialist plots. His defiance was political theater, a message to supporters back home. The judge reminded him, here, he was just a defendant. Flores's plea was quieter. She spoke of family, health, and begged for bail. "I just want to go home," she whispered, her desperation a stark contrast to Maduro's bravado. The prosecutor argued both were extreme flight risks, with vast resources and a history of obstruction. The judge agreed, bail denied. Both would remain in federal custody until trial. As they were let out, Maduro raised a cuffed fist, a final gesture of resistance. The first hearing ended, but the legal war was just beginning. The couple's power was gone. Only uncertainty remained. The courtroom drama was just a prelude to what lay ahead. The world watched as two former rulers faced American justice. Their fate now rested in the hands of the court. The stakes were personal, political, and historic. The fall from power was complete. The next chapter would be even more brutal. After court, Maduro and Flores were sent to Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a notorious grim fortress. No luxury, no loyal guards, just steel doors and concrete walls. The MDC is infamous for harsh conditions, freezing winters, sweltering summers, and frequent complaints of neglect. High-profile inmates like El Chapo and Ghislaine Maxwell have endured its isolation and constant surveillance. Maduro and Flores would likely be held in solitary for their own safety. 23 hours a day, in a cell, the size of a parking space. Meals slid through a slot, recreation alone in a cage. The isolation is meant for protection, but it's psychological torment. For a man used to absolute power, the adjustment would be brutal. Their new reality, anonymity, deprivation, and relentless monotony. The fall from palace to prison was absolute. This was their world now. We spoke to a former federal prison warden about Maduro's prospects inside MDC. "Power means nothing here," he said. "You're just a number." The hardest part? Total loss of control, every moment dictated by guards. Isolation in the SHU is brutal. 23 hours alone, silence or constant noise. No escape from your thoughts. High-profile inmates are always targets, even in solitary. Survival is mental. Routine is key exercise. Read, write, anything to keep despair at bay. Maduro's political skills won't help. Inside, influence vanishes. Every call, every letter is monitored. No privacy, no secrets. The government will watch for any attempt to influence events outside. The psychological pressure is relentless. For Maduro and Flores, the legal fight was just starting, but the daily battle for sanity had already begun. The prison walls closed in. Maduro's arrest rocked Venezuelan politics. In Caracas, chaos reigned, but for the opposition, hope surged. Maria Corina Machado, recently barred from office by Maduro, now stood poised as the opposition's leader. Her path to power seemed clearer, but the situation was volatile. U.S. officials faced a dilemma: support Machado and risk chaos, or proceed cautiously. Former President Trump claimed credit for Maduro's capture, injecting partisanship into the crisis. The White House now had to manage the fallout and next steps. Internationally, allies like Russia and China condemned the arrest. Others saw a chance for democracy. The fate of 30 million Venezuelans hung in the balance. The legal drama in New York was only part of the story. The world watched as Venezuela's future was rewritten in real time. Every move in Washington and Caracas carried global consequences. The stakes had never been higher. As Maduro sits in solitary, the world waits. His trial could reshape Latin America and U.S. foreign policy. Prosecutors prepare mountains of evidence. The defense cries political persecution. The outcome could set a precedent. Can a sitting leader be tried in a U.S. court? The risks are enormous. A successful prosecution could boost democracy. Failure could spark chaos. Authoritarian leaders worldwide are watching, wary of American reach. The legal and political chess match has just begun. The fate of Venezuela and the credibility of U.S. justice hang in the balance. The world is watching, waiting for the next move. The consequences will echo far beyond Brooklyn's prison walls.